see it's getting darker and darker, and there's just no way right now for these drivers to know exactly what's going to happen.
These guys are going to have to be really, really careful and tiptoe around the track until it's either not even 10 minutes into this race, and I feel like we've got enough strategy going on for a whole event, but still a long, long way to go.
There's Yellowstone, there's Yosemite, but for racing fans and for Grid Life's Elkhart Classic, the destination is Road America, the National Park of Speed.
Three wide in the front of the field here. Look at Emil Tab up the inside for the race lead. He heads out of the first corner.
And these guys have no idea what they're coming into. Look at this field. They're 2 wide, 3 wide, a couple places slipping.
Side by side for the race lead. 54, 48 through 3 and 4. Working lap number 60, 110 laps to go. Yusuf Ghali, power move to the bottom of the racetrack, making the short way work. They're going to touch down the hill.
This will be a great run for Fuller here.
Yes, if we go ran off the track in the final quarter, that'll absolutely get a massive.
Here he comes.
Does he have a look?
Oh, big block here by Sanfilippo. Into the grass goes Ben Fuller toward turn 1. And Sanfilippo hangs on. He's loose. No! And he crashes hard in the exit of turn number 2. Don't try him here, boys. They're going to do it. Let's go backside. They touch. They're going to crash. Bridgeko going to slam the attenuator hard into the wall. And Jared Tesson hits him as well. And big damage on these cars. That's huge.
Number 4, people are struggling for grip, going out of every single lane, trying to make a run. It's getting really insane.
Powered by AWS for the Intercontinental GT Challenge, powered by Pirelli at the Indianapolis 8-hour. We are 7 hours and 18 minutes into this 8-hour event.
John Miller way deep on the brakes to the inside of turn number 1 and 2. The spin, the 3 car gets turned around in front of the car.
James Houghton looking for a place to go, but he's got Austin Cobb to the inside. A bit of a gap behind. I think that's about 15 or 16 spot as they come out of turn 3. Big slide over this.
Getting a run. He's got it. Going to be a drag racing line. Final corner. Checkered flag waving. Here they come. At Virginia National Raceway. To the line. Thompson, Darling, door to door. Banging doors. Fender to fender. I can't believe what we just saw.
The Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series has plenty of twists and plenty of turns. But with a heavy bias of making lefts over rights, the complexities and subtleties required in road racing are never much of a factor in the championship. However, with a handful of road races on the schedule, those who excel will have their opportunity to make themselves seen and heard. And what better way to do it than round number 4, the Harrisburg 150 from the Charlotte Roval. Twists and turns, yes, but also hills and climbs, bumps and dumps, winners and losers. That's what it's all about. Welcome to Sim TV. My name's Kyle Heyer, joined by Connor Horn tonight for the 4th round of the 2021 Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series from one of the trickiest and most challenging road courses on any stock car racing schedule. But tonight, this early in the season, Connor, a lot of unknowns. Who are the road racers we should keep an eye on? Is it perhaps our last week's winner, Alan Elwood, or is it someone else like Riley Thompson?
I think you're going to see a lot of surprises tonight because, like you said, we don't know who's going to dominate tonight or if anyone will even dominate. We've seen a lot of road course races get spread out, but with so many unknowns going in tonight, we just don't know what to expect. You got Shane Tarrant, who's always solid here. Finian DeCuna, he's second in the points. Maybe he can show something. He's really here for the road course experience he has. Alan Elwood, another bunch of other guys at the top of the points trying to make something happen, and this is going to be a big wild card.
A wild card for sure. It's all going to kick off here in just a couple minutes. We've got qualifying underway right now, open qualifying, so drivers have a little bit of time to lay down the best lap that they can, and that's what I'm looking at right now is Riley Thompson with a 1:22.101 as the fastest driver on the grid so far. Bronson Stafford is in second, then Zach Buchanan in the number 40, currently in third. Alan Elwood, last round's winner from Rockingham, right now in 5th. So a handful of drivers to keep our eye on. Mitch Welker, Finian DeCuna, Thomas Bressi. I think you mentioned he's got a new livery on this car tonight. 41 laps. It is a pretty reasonable length race. It's not going to be super long, not going to be super short. But I think one of the keys to the race is going to be keeping the tires underneath you, especially in those long green flag runs.
Yeah, mainly the rear tires. You can kind of burn the front tires off of it because you have to use them a lot, but those rear tires, you have to keep those rears on because if you're slipping and sliding out of these chicanes, out of the corners, onto the oval section, you're really going to struggle with getting any speed through the corners and out of the corners. You're going to struggle to make passes if you can't keep those rear tires on the car, so you got to be careful on that throttle tonight.
There's Cameron Hearn in the number 15 car working his way through NASCAR 3 and 4. We'll have a look here at the racetrack we're at. Again, the Charlotte Roval. You see those big sausage curbs. Those will be another thing we'll have to contend with tonight in the chicanes. Here is what a lap around here looks like. It's just about 2.25 miles. You're going to have that short run down the front straightaway. Then it's a hard left into turn number 1. Jump on the brakes down to second gear. Jump that curb and then sling it through. Turns 2, 3, and 4 here, Connor. And then into the tight, twisty infield section that requires a lot of patience to get right.
And it's tough to get out of that infield section as well. Turn 7 and 8, you almost feel like the front end gets light when you go through there. That left front just wants to bounce up and down the track, and you have that wall to your right, so you can't make any mistakes going through turn 7. You have to be very tight-knit. You have to get as close to that outside wall as you can, get as close to that inside barrier off of turn 8 as you can, and power up, throttle up to the outside wall in the ovals turn 1 to get a big run through the corners. Really tough section to get through.
Then into turn number 11, that is the back straightaway chicane, a hard left-right combination, a great passing opportunity if you're willing to be aggressive. Then the run through 13 and 14, back onto the front straightaway, then turns 16 and 17 to wrap up the rest of the lap. Another passing opportunity there at the end of the lap. If you're willing to be aggressive, this place can treat you well, but aggressive does not mean that you're driving off into the braking zone super hard every single lap here, Connor. You've got to be nice to your tires, your equipment, and your fellow competitors, because you will not make it through 41 laps here if you're rubbing all over each other and bumping into each other.
And you have to be careful. Unless you're a leader, you can't pack it into a corner. You have to remember to back up your corners. A lot of these drivers practicing right now are probably practicing on their own, seeing how far they can drive into these corners. That all changes when the green flag drops. You're bunched up with about 30 other cars here today. You have to give your competitors room into a corner. You can't just run all over them, or you're going to destroy them. You're going to destroy your front end, and you're probably going to not make a lot of friends. So you have to be able to back up your entries and be prepared to get on the brakes a little harder than you're probably used to.
Mitch Welker in the number 76, a road course specialist for sure, at least I would call him that, through the chicane there, big bumps over the curbing. I would expect him to be a factor tonight, as well as the 40 of Zach Buchanan. I think this is one of those tracks that they circled on their schedule as the 40 goes for a big slide. The car control that these two have is going to factor in to their success, or the potential for their success here tonight. So we'll see if that is really worth anything, or if it's going to be all about track position. Alan Elwood, as I mentioned, winner from Rockingham, up to up to second in qualifying, about 2.5 tenths behind Riley Thompson, who has consistently been the quickest. Is he the favorite? I think we've sort of discussed this already, but having road course experience like Thompson does is important, and I think he's my pick to win this race.
I honestly think whoever gets the pole, which is obviously looking like Riley Thompson might get it, I think whoever wins this pole is definitely going to be the favorite. I think track position is going to matter a lot, and if he can get that pole, he's going to be really tough to beat, going to be really tough to pass as well. Someone like Mitch Welker, who's really good at this road course as well, sitting back there in 9th, he might be as fast as Riley Thompson, but if he can't get a qualifying lap down, and he has to start almost outside the top 10. He's going to have a tough time getting up to that 56.
Got a big field here tonight as well, over 30 cars. The challenges of the Charlotte Roval are numerous. We're looking at one of those challenges, that back straightaway chicane. We also have one on the front straightaway. And every time we come here, the biggest thing I always have to talk about is the curbing here. We've got 2 stages of it. Basically, these blue curbs, you call them turtles or sausage curbs, whatever you want to call them, these things will launch your car straight up into the air. However, these red and white ones on the outside section, those are generally fair game and will help the car rotate. So finding a way onto the curbs without jumping up onto the blue ones is going to be the key to finding a lot of speed without beating up your suspension or your competitors.
Yeah, you have to look out for those blue sausage curves. You can't hit them. You're going to destroy the front end of your car, and you're going to lose a lot of speed. You hit those curves the wrong way, get the undercarriage of the car into those blue curves, you're going to destroy the car, and you're going to be down on speed for a while. You have to be very precise. It requires a lot of finesse. You have to hit those red and white curves very softly, and like you said, on that exit of that front stretch curve, you might want to hit that blue curve just a little bit, or maybe do the opposite like Zach Buchanan just did. Hit the first curve on the right side and then just barely hit the red and white curve on that left side to get a good run out of the corner. So a lot of ways you can take these chicanes, but you got to make sure you don't overshoot.
Have a look at the weather here, 78 in the air. Nice day here in Charlotte. However, 108-degree track temperature. That's pretty hot and toasty. And my fear is the tire longevity is not going to be around, and we're going to be beating up those rear tires all night long. So how do you maintain, or I should say, keep those rear tires cool? Because everyone's going to want to be throttling up in these slow corners.
You're just going to have to be really careful on that throttle. You can't mash it at all. Obviously, off of a corner, especially with the low downforce, you can't go 100% throttle off every corner. So you're probably just going to spin yourself, let alone just have big tire wear. You have to be very precise on the throttle. You can't be stabbing it back and forth on the throttle. You have to be very precise. Gradually get into the throttle off of the corners, especially out of a corner like onto the oval section. You have to be precise. You have to be smooth, and you got to make sure those rear tires on by being smooth on that throttle.
Well, points coming into the night. Shane Terrian is your points leader by 21. over Finian DeCuna, who picked up 4 spots at Rockingham due to his good solid finish. Riley Thompson gained 1 spot. He's up to 3rd. Then it's Michael Stroll in 4th and Chad Simpson in 5th. Looking for our points leader in qualifying, though, all the way down in 19th, Connor. So clearly the road racing, not his forte. That means I think he's got a little bit of a long night ahead of him, just trying to maintain that points lead he has. DeCuna has a lot of road racing experience. We'll see if that pace will pay off here at the end of this night.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of different contenders at the front. Like you said, road course experience comes big. It really comes into play. You got guys like Cameron Hearn, who ran really well at Rockingham, maybe deserved a win at Rockingham last week. Really got on the ovals, has showed a lot of speed so far this season. He's up there in 5th, but qualifying pace and race pace, I think you and I both know, completely different things at a road course. You have to have longevity at these tracks where you're likely not going to get a yellow unless there's a big pile up. So you really have to know how to save your tires and, you know, maybe even save a little bit of fuel if a long run comes into play here too.
Pretty tight at the top of the order. There's only about 1 second spread from the top 9, which is actually fairly close. We were actually discussing pre-event here that in the past, these races at the Roval are attrition-filled, Connor. It is hard to make it through one of these races without crashing or having someone crash into you. So maybe there's something to be said about taking it easy tonight and just avoiding making your own mistakes and avoiding everyone else's mistakes, and just making it through will often net you a top 5 or top 10.
Yeah, just making it through that's really what's important in this race. You have to keep the car on it, not just the rear tires. You have to keep the fenders on it. You get too much damage, you're going to be slow, and it's really easy to get damage on your car when you have big stack ups into turn 1. On this initial start, we're probably going to see a lot of contact between a bunch of drivers, and it's going to be tough to navigate if you get damaged on lap 1, turn 1. So these drivers have to be really safe and really careful just to make sure they can keep the fenders on it and get as much speed out of the car as they can.
Your current provisional pole sitter is Riley Thompson in the number 56 car. Then it's Alan Elwood second, Bronson Stafford, Justin Morton, Cameron Hearn in 5th, and Bressie Buchanan, Justin Munsell. That's a new name here in the 98. He is in 8th, and Mitch Welker, Christian Gritzko rounding out the rest of the top 10. We'll run through the rest of the starting order here in a little bit. In other things I wanted to talk about later is also the next racetrack that we're going to. We're actually headed off to New Hampshire Motor Speedway next week, and then we head to Indianapolis. So 3 very distinct racetracks. Got a 2.5-mile road course, a 1-mile oval, and then a 2.5-mile oval. So we're going to see a lot of different people really show their strengths. We've been to a short track, sort of, kind of. You could call Rockingham that. We've also been to a 2-mile speedway and a super speedway. So we've seen a little bit of everything. I think tonight, the road racers, the drivers that have some experience left, right, downshifting, upshifting, tonight is their night to show and shine. Our next road race will be at Sonoma on March 16th. So not too far away, about a month from now. From our race here at the Roval. And I think in terms of road racing, that's pretty much it for the season. That is going to be it. So just 2 this time around in our 16-round championship.
Yeah, and it's going to be very tough for these road course drivers. The guys who, are strong at the road course and just struggle a little bit at these ovals, this is going to be a big race for them, not just Charlotte. Obviously, Sonoma is going to be important to them as well. They can get a good finish, maybe a top 5, maybe even a win here this week, and then have another good run at Sonoma that can really help their chase chances for the ones who are good at road courses and just kind of struggle at these ovals. They can get a lot of points at these road courses towards their chase hopes if they can just, keep their cool and keep their car on straight today.
Harrisburg 150, keys to the race here, Connor. Let's start with stay on track. This is perhaps the most important one. Not a lot of room for error here. If you find yourself in a pickle, you're going to hit something and hit something pretty hard. So stay on course, stay between those lines. Don't slide them, referring to the tires. Don't lock them up. Don't drag them around. Don't spin them. Treat that rubber like it's your life tonight. Also, curb hops, how to maintain and manage gaps, how to gain gaps, knowing when to push, when to jump those curbs, and when to stay very far away from them. All keys to winning this race tonight.
And the big important one to me is obviously those curb hops. Obviously staying on track's important, and those tires you have to keep on them. You have to keep them on. We've talked about over and over again, but these curb hops, another thing we talked about, they can destroy your car if you hit them wrong. You have to be careful saving your car, knowing when to hit those curbs hard to get a little bit of speed out of a corner and when not to hit them and lay off. So a lot of attrition, I think, is going to go on today.
We've got 30 drivers or thereabouts about ready to take the green as they grid up and get ready to launch those motors. 41 laps, about 150 miles worth of racing. What's the strategy going to look like? It's about a 56-minute race from start to finish. How often do you pit, and is it tire limited or fuel limited?
I think it's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be either one. I think you can make it on one stop and 41 laps, but we'll have to wait and see. You got 2 sets of tires to work with and likely only going to take 1 pit stop. I believe the 1 stop is faster, but if someone with a lot of pace wants to try that 2 stop from the front, I wouldn't be surprised if they can make it work and get the win. I think you're definitely going to be diving in. When you do make your first pit stop, you're definitely going to be wanting the tires instead of the fuel, because I don't think fuel is going to be much of an issue, but you're going to really be crying if you wear those tires out too quickly. You might have to short pit if you're not very good on them.
A couple drivers will not take the grid. David Mott Jr. in the 14 car and Zach Passon in the 69 will not begin this race, at least not from the gridding process. They'll start in the pits if they start at all. Field rolling off now, and out front again, it's Riley Thompson. He's got past success in this series I should say, the road courses. Road America is the one that comes up to me as being a place where Riley Thompson has been successful. He's also won in the IndyCar series that Fuel used to run, and that was back at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. So Thompson knows how to get around the road course races. He's also a driver that practices a lot, and the more you practice, Connor, the more that's going to show. And it's going to be real clear to me real fast which drivers have spent time this week getting their reps in and which drivers have not.
Yeah, and I think he's going to really be strong on the short run and the long run. I think he's going to have the whole package tonight because he has a lot of pace on the short run, as we saw with that qualifying speed. But I'm almost 100% positive that he knows how to save these tires and how to keep those rear tires specifically on his car. So I think he's going to be tough to beat, especially when he's starting on the pole tonight.
And drivers a little bit deeper in the field to keep an eye on, of course, our points leader, that being Shane Terrian, starting all the way back in row number 9. And he's got a lot of work to do for sure, but maybe the work tonight doesn't involve winning. Maybe it just involves preserving his points lead. The guy chasing him in the points is this man right here, Finian D'Cunha, in that number 94 Redenso Toyota Supra. Had a great run at Rockingham last week, jumped 4 spots in the standings, and it's coming to a racetrack that I think he wouldn't admit to being very good at, but I think he is probably better than the average iRacer at this place, given his road racing background. I think maybe in a sports car he'd be a little bit more at home, but he's going to wrestle this 3,400-pound stock car as close as he can to the front. Right in front of him, Mitch Welker, one of the Project 2 drivers we expect to see competitive. Christian Gritzko in the 91. He's also got some TCR experience here in iRacing, so front-wheel drive, a little bit different than what we're running here tonight, but road racing nonetheless. And then, of course, the 40 is Zach Buchanan, just up the road from these guys, in line with his teammate. The 15, the 61, it's 5 Supras in a row on that inside lane behind Riley Thompson. So a lot of Toyota manufacturer representation here as we head to the back straightaway chicane.
And obviously, this is one of a few leagues you'll see a lot of Supras, a lot of Toyotas in. But besides that, I think there's a lot of storylines to look at. You obviously got the points leader. I think it's more of a recovery race for him. I think he thought he'd be better farther up into the field. I think he's just trying to get up maybe to a top 10 spot and just recover as many points as he can if he can't get the Finian. You have Cameron Hearn, who arguably shoulda, woulda, coulda won the Rockingham race 2 weeks ago, got held up by a lap car on accident. He starts 5th. He's trying to recover from that. And obviously, you got Riley Thompson, who could easily dominate this race, but we'll have to wait and see. It might all change going into turn 1.
It could definitely change in turn number 1. It could definitely change before we even get there. We have to negotiate this final chicane before the green flag flies. And including the drivers at the back, they're at a massive disadvantage here, having to negotiate this while the green flag is flying. 41 laps, 150 miles for the Harrisburg 150. The Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series from the Roval is green. Oh, lock up by the race leader into the first corner. I think we'll make it out alive, but that was really dicey there for a moment.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough. Everyone, like we were talking about, there could be stack-ups everywhere on this track. Everyone just has to be able to stay patient and navigate around each other and give each other a lot of room.
Nice clean start so far. 2 by 2. There's Thomas Bressi in that new livery in the 24 car. Zach Buchanan in the 40. That's that yellow no-name sponsored machine. There's the 15 of Cameron Hearn on the outside. Big jump for the 11 of Morton up into turn number 7. Oh, a bit of contact there between Bressi and Welker. But so far, so good. We haven't had anybody spin around or go backwards just yet.
And that's a really tough spot going into that uphill right-hander. There's 2 right-handers. It's a tough spot to hit the curb. The 11 got away with it, luckily, as everyone's still trying to gather each other up and get single-filed out here before the backstretch chicane, where a lot more trouble could happen.
Justin Munsell got muscled out of the way just a little bit at the start of this thing. There is Mitch Welker on the attack on the underside, or defending actually, from the 24 Bressi.
Whoa, Finian! Braxton DeWeese is around it. Finian's over the curbs in the backstretch chicane. Calamity back here.
Oh, there's caution. Caution is out. Cars stopped here in the bus stop. And the 91 of Gritzko, that was a great call there to get that caution out before it turned messier. But Deweese, DeCuna, and the 91 of Gritzko all involved. Where did this start is my question.
I looked up and I saw Finian on the way bottom going into that chicane. He went over those black and yellow bumpers back there, and Deweese got turned around and all of it. I don't know what happened to Finian. Maybe he got hit here. But we'll see. He completely misses the line.
I wonder if there was, the 98 checks up. He just completely made a mistake. And the one car, this is all separate here. This is all separate incidents entirely. The 91 car is really where our energy should be focused here. He got turned around. I think there was contact from, he ran into the back of the 24 here maybe. Right here. The one car gets turned by the 98, and the 24 turns the 91, and that's really what causes the blockage that pulls the caution out. And DeCuna on his own just missed the braking zone and then slammed over that curb, which obviously we know that's not going to be great for that front suspension and front bumper. Oh, he actually got the inside wall trying to ditch.
And then he went over the sausage curbs. He tried to miss those black and yellow curbs so he didn't hop into the rest of the field. I think he was looking at the outside lane. He saw the 98 braking very early, and I think he wanted positions there, but he overshot it there. I don't know if he came back and hit anyone. I think he got away with one there.
He basically bailed out and hit the inside wall just trying to stay out of everyone else's way. And the other crashes happened independently. There's that 98 car getting kind of pile-driven by the 54 car of Davey Hendricks, and he runs into the one. That spins out Braxton Deweese behind the 91 who got turned by the 24. So a messy start here after having the first half of the lap go so clean and green. Caution out lap number 1.
And that's the trouble. It's very difficult to give everyone room into that corner. And the reason that 98 got ran over because he hit the brakes early, Justin Munsell. He hit the brakes early just so he wouldn't run into the back of anyone. And 54, Davey Hendricks just wasn't ready for it at all. He was expecting a little bit more room to break into that corner. And 54 just had nowhere to go. He couldn't go to the bottom because I believe Finian was down there. And you could see how hard he hit the 98. That rear bumper is completely gone. It's probably in the front grille of the 54.
And Davey Hendricks again with perhaps some damage on the nose of his car. There's that 54 coming into the view here, and you'll see it. Quite a lot of damage. This track isn't super aerodynamically dependent, so I don't think it'll be a huge hindrance to him, but the chicane is a big pinch point here, and if you make a mistake, it's hard to bail out. I mean, DeCuna did the best that he could to not run into anybody, but he kind of sacrificed the left front of his own car, and that's got some damage to it, but it looks like it's primarily located on the left front. When we saw him go over the curbs, he was going so slow, I don't think it damaged anything related to the motor, so he should be okay, given that he doesn't do that again.
Yeah, it's one thing that's tough to check because obviously the Cup cars have a digital dash. You can see the RPMs and kind of coast and see how much damage you might have gotten to the car. And these Xfinity cars, you kind of have to know what the RPMs are at stock just to know how much engine damage you might got. Obviously, iRacing sometimes very generous and sometimes very unforgiving when it comes to engine damage, but I think Finian might be fine. He's able to keep decent track position as well, as I think the 54 is going to come down, get some damage repaired because he really killed that front end.
Yeah, he's going to come on down and maybe get some tires put on that car and maybe repair the nose on that machine, but definitely a mistake by the 54. A couple mistakes made there by a few different people. There's the one of Braxton Deweese also in pit lane. Zach Passon did end up taking the green flag from the pits, and that ended up being a pretty good call because who knows where he would have officially started. I think he was slated to have started 13th, which is right in the middle of where all that was. So that ended up being a pretty good call.
And there's no guarantees you're going to get a yellow, but when a stack up like that happens, you kind of just have to throw it before calamity happens. Will Roberts made the right move there, throwing the yellow so everyone knew to check up and slow down before we had a 20-car pileup. So good job by him, and obviously a very fortunate yellow for Zach Passon. He might be able to get through the field possibly, but long way to get up to the front of the pack for 26th.
So Riley Thompson had to fight off the 11 of, I believe it was Justin Morton in the other, no, it was Elwood rather in the 5 car. They raced each other down into turn number 1 and came out side by side for about a half a lap, then sorted it out. Bronson Stafford maintains 3rd. Where is Shane Terrian? He is up to 16th after starting this race in 20th. So a couple spots gained and not a scratch on it, and that's what's important at the end of this thing. Going back to our keys to the race here, Connor. Stay on track was one of those. Curb hops and don't slide them were the 3 keys to the race. And we saw all 3 of those be a factor in that first incident.
I was about to say, I think every single thing happened there. You had Finian go off track. I think it was the 1 or the 91 who went curb hopping. And that 3rd one right there. yeah, obviously we saw a bunch of people sliding him. I think we saw 2 or 3 cars spin there, so that didn't take too long. We didn't even make a lap, and all 3 rules have been broken. So we'll see how much farther we can get into it, maybe try again. See, I think everyone knows how to get through the rest of the field, but get through the rest of the track, excuse me, but I think we still need to figure out how to navigate that backstretch chicane because it is a very tight left-hander there.
It really is, and coming back to the right as well, watching this exit wall, how close you have to run to that thing, and then you see where Riley Thompson is driving through right now. To the left of that blue line, that's fair game, so you can kind of sneak up under there, and the problem is when you get to turn 3, not that turn 3, I'm talking about NASCAR turn 3, when you get here, you got to get up onto the banking, and how that transition happens if you're side by side is often something that drivers will quarrel over. So we'll see how it goes on a second attempt. We're going to restart double file, and it'll probably seem like we're just restarting the race again, but 4 or 5 laps shorter. This will also adjust when you could come in for your pit stop here tonight.
Yeah, we saw people come in that last time by. Yeah, we saw 2 or 3 people. Not too many people came in, but the people who came in, they'll have the option to stretch it a little bit farther and maybe get a bit of an overcut going on, and they'll have a little bit fresher tires, although after 1 lap I don't think it'll matter, but definitely some different strategies are going to happen. Might see people stretching it maybe closer to lap 30 possibly.
The only takers were Brent Jones, Braxton DeWeese, Davey Hendricks. They were the only 3 to come on down and do any sort of service. Everyone else will stay out there on the racetrack, including the 94 Finian D'Acuna. So he must have felt that the damage that he received is not severe enough to warrant any sort of repairs, and maybe not worth giving up the track position at this stage in the game.
The same thing for the 98 machine. Justin Munsell right beside him there. Also, Bresci, he has some left side damage as well. Not as severe as the 94s, but already have drivers up at the front not keeping their cars clean. Obviously not their fault for the most part. Obviously the 24 kind of had no room in that chicane with the 91, but got a couple drivers with possibly big damage. It could cause stack-ups, but we'll have to wait and see.
Project 2 drivers just creeping up. Zach Buchanan in 6th, Mitch Welker in 7th. 98 car, for all the pushing and shoving, taking the damage to the rear of the car is a lot better than taking it to the front. So I don't think that damage is going to be a big deal. He should be able to not have much of an issue unless he has any more contact from the rear. And those open bars sticking out will likely create a bit of a distraction in terms of the multi-car interaction there. So what I'm saying is don't get run into again, is all I'm saying. But don't get run into the first time. It's probably a better one to stick with.
Well, maybe he should start sending other people because he did the right thing by checking up early for a corner and the 54 just wasn't ready for it. So maybe he might start dive bombing other people. From my view, I don't know if it's just me. The car kind of looks crooked, but I think it's just the way I'm looking at it. That rear end, if he gets hit in the rear end anymore, that rear window is going to be gone and he won't even need a mirror. He can just look behind him and hey, there's no rear end. So he's just really got to look out for himself a little bit here because checking up for others kind of cost him. So maybe checking up for others just isn't the move.
Does look a little crooked, doesn't it? It looks like it's tracking front end out to the right a little bit.
That's what I was thinking. I don't know if it was because he was in the turn or what, though.
No, I mean, even on the straightaway, the steering doesn't look like it's knocked out, so it should be fine from a driving perspective, but clearly something's been borked. So lining up, double filing, re-rack and restack. Try this again. The race will be effectively 5 laps shorter. And now it's essentially a 36-lap race instead of a 41-lap race. Elwood on the outside, the winner from Rockingham, then Riley Thompson on the inside. So far this season, Shane Terrian is the only driver in the top 10 in points other than Elwood to have a victory. Brendan Queen won at Auto Club. He's down in 22nd in the points. And I don't think Brendan Queen is here tonight. At least I haven't seen him. So missing, and that will hurt him in the points a little bit more. Coming back to the green flag, Thompson and Elwood side by side. And green flag back in the air here from the Charlotte Roval for the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series. Clean getaway so far. That's Mitch Welker to the inside of Justin Morton. Morton will have the preferred line here through turns 3 and 4. Nice tidy starts here. The question is, can we get through the chicane this time without any dramas?
We got to make it through the rest of the corners another time, too, as the 24 is going to look inside Morton. Morton's going to get turned right there, cut across the bumper of Bresci, and he's going to go into the tire barrier there.
It's going to be a long drop back through the field. That's going to be a frustrating recovery for him for sure for the race lead. Thompson has it. Elwood goes to the outside here, and Thompson's going to stay put on the blue line. But this 5 car is looking pretty solid here, Connor. Here he comes.
Yeah, he's got a big run, and so you want to take it. He actually lifted there. I don't think he wants to go for the lead just now. I don't think the 11 Morton's going to really appreciate that from Brezzi. I think that's the second car that Brezzi's had contact with. But going into the backstretch chicane, a lot more spread out this time.
Yeah, a lot more tender through here, I think, for the most part. The meat of the field is through it. Handful more cars. There's Gritzko on a recovery drive. Zach Passon on the outside.
Danny Ware goes around, and he's going to keep it no damage on the car. He'll get it back going.
Perhaps a little too much throttle. Might have had some help, but gets back steered in the right direction. For the race lead, though, there's DeCuna on the brakes, locking him up into turn number 17. Gets it woed on down, and going to try the crossover here on Michael Stroll for 9th. Car through the chicane.
Shane area. Oh, another one through the chicane behind him, way back there. That is
Gritzko.
Casey Shue.
Oh, no,
a lot of drivers.
This is Casey Shue.
A lot of drivers having trouble, especially the points leader having a bit of trouble there. So any position he might have gained, he might have had to give some of them up, but I think he's still in the 15th position.
DeCuna making it exciting here for 10th spot. Brian Chambliss got by. Here comes Brad Slaughter Jr., the number 81. Drag race down to turn number 5. DeCuna on the outside here. Going to have to probably concede this one for now. Slaughter's going to run him a little wide, too.
You have room to run wide a little bit there. You have that bit of access back there. They're still going to go side by side. Really tough to go side by side through this infield section, but they're making it work as Brad Slaughter's got the outside, maybe preferred line to get out of the corner, but look at that run. Finian gets on the bottom, but give her clear up through the ovals 1 and 2.
Yeah, got the preferred line here for the next part of the NASCAR oval. The challenge now is, can you defend? He might have some fairly significant damage. He seems like he's slow, especially in a straight line. Now on the brakes again for the chicane. I think Slaughter's going to have this here if he can hang tough. No, he's going to give it up. DeCuna hangs on and slows down Tevin a lot. Nick Massey and Terry also have to jump on the brakes.
You can tell if you let him by there, he's just really conservative through that backstretch chicane. Either way, Finian gets by, and that's what some road course experience can do to you. Even if you have some significant damage, you might potentially be able to gain it all back in the corners, and it pretty much equals itself out. As Finian looks pretty decent in the corners right now, he's going to make the front stretch chicane this time.
Drivers filing on through on the front straightaway chicane. Out front, Riley Thompson leads the way over Alan Elwood by 0.6 of a second. No change up front. Zach Passon, a little wide through turn 1, gives up a spot to Braxton DeWeese on a recovery charge after his involvement in that lap 1 collision.
And you can see already how important it is to get single file as quick as possible off of a start or a restart. You see the top 6 or 7, maybe even 8 are pretty far away from Michael Stroll in 9th position, about 3 seconds from Justin Munsell, who has that rear end damage, about 3 seconds back to Michael Stroll. Then you got Chambliss right behind him. Then you got another line behind Finian forming up. It's very important to get single file because you can easily get away from the rest of the field if you do so.
Alan Elwood backed off of Riley Thompson, but now is starting to put the pressure back on the rear tailpipes of that 56. Seems like he gains in the infield and then loses some here at the exit of the chicane. So maybe some efforts to be put there. Brad Slaughter back on the tailpipes of the 94, and Joseph Tebben now the first in a line of several cars that are trying to get by this 94 car.
Yeah, I think Finian, he's really only holding him up in the fast parts of the track. Other than that, he looks sharp. He pretty much looks fine. He actually looks like he has decent speed compared to Brad Slaughter Jr., so I think he was just trying to get all warmed up. So he's starting to pull away a little bit. As long as he can keep the car on the track, he might be able to get some position and maybe chase the 25 with Chambliss.
Shane Terrian, again, almost missed that bus stop a little while ago. His move is up to 14th after starting in 20th. DeWeese on the inside of the 12 of Ryan Kish. Completes that pass. Passon would like back by, and he's going to give that a shot as well. Oop, big slide there at the exit of turn 1. Watch those rear tires. Don't want to burn them up this early.
Yeah, especially when you're in the back, you can't burn them up or else you're never going to go forward unless people wreck, as he still can't get by the 12 of Kish here, as the 12 is going to power back through that right-hander. Passon gets loose almost into the grass, but they're still going to be side by side, and here comes Robert Kenny.
I think he did get into the grass just a little bit. Spooked him. Braxton DeWeese locks him up into turn 5. Kish going to take the short way around, but Passon's got a bit of a run. Behind them, Davey Hendricks. Remember, he pit earlier for the damage that he received from the involvement in that lap 1 crash. Up to 25th.
Going to be a really tough climb back. Maybe staying out was the move because although front end damage is obviously different than rear end damage, at 98 still looks pretty strong. He's staying with the lead line at a decent pace here in 8th position. He's got room all the way back, like I said, the Michael Stroll. So even with that rear end damage, it doesn't seem like it's affecting him too much.
Lead pack through the chicane for the 8th time now in the 41 lap race we've got going on here this afternoon. Brian Chambliss peeking his way through the chicane here. A lot of ginger drivers here for the most part. No one really aggressive. You see, oh, that's, let's see who that is in the background. Is that Nick Massey or Hayden Pistorius? Nope, I think we're off the road a little bit.
Maybe Tebben.
Tebben, yes, in the 60 car, I believe. No, he's in an orange car. I'm looking for the green one. That's
the green one.
I knew it was a Project 2 car. I just couldn't figure out which one it was.
It's hard to miss a green car and an orange car. I just thought you were looking for a bright orange car.
Cameron Hearn and Buchanan, this is for 4th.
It's big to get these positions now because with how hard it is to pass, you know a lot of drivers are going to be trying to get some tire strategy, maybe short pit, maybe overcut. So it's important to get the track position that you can get under green.
Watching wheel hop here into the chicane. If you get too much on those brakes, those rear tires will start to bounce up and down like basketballs. And Connor, you know very well that that's a really difficult situation to pull yourself out of once it starts to happen. And usually it ends up with you spinning or overcooking the corner.
Yeah, if you wheel hop, it's pretty much over for you. I had it happen to me a lot of times. I have it specifically happen to me at Sonoma a lot of times into that hairpin to end that lap. It's very difficult to not wheel hop through there, but it happens at every road course. It even happens at some ovals, specifically in Martinsville. It happens a lot of the times with a lot of drivers. But obviously more common at the road courses. If you wheel hop, it's pretty much over. You have to find a way to kind of equal it out, whether it's shifting into another gear to prevent the wheel hop, like Chase Elliott did, I believe, at Watkins Glen, I believe 3 years ago to beat Truex. He shifted it, I think, into neutral to prevent a wheel hop, as Elwood got really loose getting out of that corner. So a lot of ways to manage wheel hop, but if you can't do it in time, you're pretty much going into the fence.
Getting into the stage of the race now where it's all about just driving tidy and keeping the tires up underneath you for longevity. Cameron Hearn feeling the pressure from Buchanan behind. And into turn number 8, the return back to the oval. Cut this as tight as he can to that tire wall. Trouble for Tebben in the 60 car. He has gone around at the exit of turn 4.
I don't think he hit anything, just trying to find a way back by. This is the thing that sucks. You know you can get back going, but you have to wait until everyone's gone. He's pulling back in front of someone there. I think that is Boomer Logan, who has a lot of front-end damage. He'll get back going, but all his track position from 13th is gone. Yeah,
just overcooked it at the corner exit. So easy to do, just too much throttle here. You got plenty of power, not wishing you had any more. Here's Casey Lakatos in the 25th spot. He started at the tail end of the field here in 28th, up a couple, and has kept the nose on it. Brent Jones reset back to the pits. Where's the trouble been for this car?
Maybe he called it a day. We'll have to wait and see. He's been all on his own and
locked it up.
Too shallow of a line, and he killed the wall there. The heartburn. He missed the heartburn barrier as he hit the straight up safer barrier there, so that might be day done for him.
Here's Tyler Hensley on the outside of Sarah Tessum into the chicane here on the final corner of the racetrack. And Braxton DeWeese continuing to drive through everybody after his spin earlier. He's doing a nice job. Almost back to where he started as Tessum looks up the inside of Hensley in turn 1.
Can't make it work there. He's definitely, out of the people who pit for damage or anything else, he's definitely looked the most solid all the way back up into the top 20, looking for a top 15. Obviously got a lot more work to do to get farther up into the field, but he's definitely looked pretty strong so far. Unfortunate what happened with him and Bresci. Actually, no, that was 91 that had contact with Bresci, and DeWeese kind of got turned by someone there, but he's making good recovery so far.
Zach Passon had a look up the inside of DeWeese into turn 5. Not really a passing opportunity necessarily, but he gave it a shot. Would see if DeWeese would give him the line. He did not. And Sarah Tessum a little bit defensive here, and DeWeese going to see that door open into turn number 8. Tessum runs wide, and here's the opportunity to pounce. He's going to go down the inside with a punch of throttle, and he's through. Back to 17th.
Also, the 69 is going to get through here as well for that position. The 70 just did not get a good run out of that corner, and getting a big run onto the oval sections are very important. If you don't get a good run through there, your run's pretty much cooked, and you really have nothing you can do.
And DeWeese stops in the chicane, misses the entrance here. Easy to do this. Just got in too deep, too hot. A little bit of wheel hop and just went straight on. Realized he wasn't going to make it. He'd rather stop and get back going than tear up your front splitter and the underbelly of these cars. So nicely done there, but lost the positions he had just gained.
He's got even more work to do now because of that mistake. That's the types of things you have to limit are mistakes like that, because it's tough to pass already. If you make a mistake to lose your track position, it's almost like shooting yourself in the foot, basically.
Vinny DeCuna back up into 11th, has now found a bit of a footing here. 125.819 was the last lap that he ran. That was 0.3 quicker than the driver in front of him. That's Brian Chambliss in the 25 car. And that was also just about on pace with most of the drivers in front of Chambliss. So I think Nakuna's found some legs underneath him, just took a few laps to get into the groove.
Finian also did the same thing because he struggled on that first lap after the restart. It looked like he was holding people up, but he's been able to hold his own even with the damage. Brad Slaughter Jr. can't really get back to him right now, running similar laps to Finian, but that damage, maybe if he didn't have the damage, he'd already be by Chambliss and Michael Stroll here.
Brad Slaughter Jr. in the background fought with Nakuna for a couple laps after that restart and maintains 12th position for now. Zach Buchanan was attacking Cameron Hearn a few laps ago, but that battle has sort of fizzled, and they're just running one after the other. Buchanan, Welker, and Bresci, the driver to throw into the mix. Past winner here at the Charlotte Roval in the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series. And in the past was only really ever a threat on the road courses, but it seems like his road course dominance has gone down, and his oval prowess has gone up in recent memory. 7th right now. I think he'd like to be a little higher up the grid. Dropped one spot from the start.
I don't know how much damage could have been done. It doesn't look severe, but you really never know unless you're driving the car. I think he can get up by these guys, but you can see he's really struggling with getting grip. He's sliding through these two right-handers here. Very tough part of the track to keep it straight. As this is the point of the run, you're starting to see who saved the rear tires and who didn't. Because I think these guys about 4th on back are struggling a little bit, and those top 2 have completely pulled away from everyone else. Riley Thompson, Alan Elwood on their own.
Casey Lakatos in turn 1 going around for a quick spin. Closest battle on the racetrack, at least the highest one up the order, is for 5th with Buchanan and Welker, the 2 teammates, followed by JT Motorsports number 24. Buchanan misses the bus stop.
And he's not going to stop. He's just going to keep it going and take the slow down gradually. He's not going to get by Cameron Hearn. He's going to lose 2, maybe 3 spots. He might have even hit the wall a little bit there, getting back going. He's going to fall all the way back to around 8th position with Justin Munsell.
Yeah, that was a rare mistake for Buchanan to make, especially on one of the road tracks. And we'll see if we can hear if he maybe had some wheel hop. Let's ride on board.
You can see how far behind he was with Cameron Hearn, and then you can see how much he closes up.
Yep.
Just was never going to have a shot at making that corner.
Yeah, a little bit of wheel hop. It just got in too deep, too fast. Made the mistake, had some pressure from behind, and he cracked to it. And you're right, dropped right in behind Justin Munsell in the 98. And now struggling with rear grip, so that is compounding problems for him, I'm sure. That will promote Mitch Welker up to 5th. Fastest driver in the top 5 right now. Well, no surprise, it's Riley Thompson at 1:24.8. He is still right on pace. We dropped about a 2nd and 3/10 off of our fastest lap pace of the day. As Hayden Pistorius and Tyler Hensley fight for 15th.
Part of the track goes side by side, but they're able to make it work so far. Still for the 15th position. Hensley going to get chopped a little bit there by Zach Passon, who's making a good recovery from completely missing the start. He started 13th, then he obviously didn't start the race back around probably 29th. He's only up to 17th, making the recovery kind of like the Weiss was.
Yeah, he's done a nice job coming back forward. Not a scratch on it. There's a scratch on it, but it's just to the right front. No biggie. But nothing that will impact the performance of that race car. Nick Massey just up the road is trying to chase down Shane Terry, who again is our points leader coming into the night. Started this race in 20th, but he's been very calm, cool, and collected, and very methodical, which is what we see a lot of the time at a Terry. And he's not necessarily a factor right out of the gate at every race we do, but he's just there when it counts, and so far he's doing just that.
He's able to survive that lap 1 melee, and he's been able to keep decent track position. Hasn't been too flashy or anything, hasn't flown through the field, but he's been able to keep a decent pace with everyone around him. A 26.9 last time by, a little bit off the leaders, but all in all, he's keeping a clean car, and he's doing a good job doing it.
He's got Nick Massey in right behind him as well, and I think those two will play along quite nicely here. So might see a swap for position, but it'll probably be gifted rather than stolen. Let's go back to Pistorius, Passon, and Hensley, 15th through 17th, still going at it back here.
These 3 just can't separate each other for position like 15th. Every position matters when you're going for points. You need every point you get, especially when you're only battling for the 15th position. I think Hensley's falling off them a little bit, but that 69 machine, Passon's looking pretty sharp, although he's getting really sideways trying to get to the bumper of Pistorius.
Yeah, using up a lot of those rear tires. I think we'll see that pace drop off. We're getting near the halfway point, within 4 or 5 laps of that opportunity. Oh, big slide for Pistorius out into the runoff area. Pit stops soon, perhaps, for some of these drivers. We've seen Hendricks and Luis already hit pit lane, but that was under the caution flag on lap 1. Oh, the 69 caught the fence at the exit at turn 7. Pistorius will wrestle that one back.
Just got a bit too wide, had to breathe the throttle a little bit. Still tapped the wall, wasn't a big hit, but he might lose his position. But he's still fighting strong, maybe side drafting out of oval turn number 2, trying to get back to his outside.
Cameron Hearn hits pit lane up from 4th, but side by side into the bus stop here. The 9 of Pistorius and the 69 of Zach Passon. Oh, always awkward through here, double file. Big slide by the 69. And he'll lose that spot. Hensley with a run now.
How much time look how much time they gave up just going side by side through a corner like that and loses all your time. I'm interested in what Hearn's doing here, though. That's a very, very short pit doing that. He must just be he must be confident that he can just barely make it on fuel from here. He's going to try to use those tires as much as he can to get track position. We'll see if anyone reacts to that.
Yeah, he's on pit lane all by himself. He's the first driver that we've seen come on down. He started this race up inside the top 5, was running 4th when he came in, wasn't really struggling either. So I'm not exactly sure why, but he's maybe got a plan here, Connor, and maybe short pitting's the way to go. Christian Gritzko also on pit lane.
He was just outside the top 20, but yes, he is going to hit pit lane. And Riley Thompson, we'll see what he does. He's gotten a big lead the last few laps. Him and Elwood were close, but Elwood just has not had the pace to hang with Riley Thompson over the last few laps. Riley Thompson ran high 24s, and the last time Alan Elwood ran a 24 was about 5 laps ago, and he hasn't ran one since. So that 56, I think like I said, I think he knew what he was doing. He's saving those tires, and he's using them now.
So the question becomes, can Cameron Hearn run a couple laps that will run Riley Thompson down, but by the time Thompson comes and hits pit lane and returns back to the racetrack, we might see Hearn end up as the leader, but for how long is the question. Here's Passon underneath Pistorius again down the back straightaway. This is for 15th. Trying the other line this time, but that's a little awkward. They're going to touch.
Oh, they're going to touch again. More contact. Here comes Hensley, maybe 3 wide, trying to avoid both of them, and that's going to lose a lot of time for Pistorius. He's going to give the line to Hensley, and Ryan Kish is up there all of a sudden.
Thank you very much, says Tyler Hensley. He'll pick up a spot and now has Zach Passon firmly in the sights. Whoa! Passon almost drilled the pit wall, and that's going to be a huge mistake.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't even know what to say. I looked up, and he almost hit the barrels. That was insanely close to being a terrible crash there. So he's going to lose time back to those other drivers, but he's still in front of Tyler Hensley, but surely he has a big slowdown.
Yeah, I don't know what that was all about. That looked like he was just steering down there. I thought he might have gotten loose, but something happened. Back to 15.
Definitely didn't happen. Yeah, and he hasn't didn't seem like he's given much time up yet. I can't imagine he definitely think he had to have gotten a slowdown, just hasn't given up the time or something. I'm surprised he even kept it straight. He took a big jump. He did a wheelie there.
Ryan Kish closing in on Hayden Pistorius. Pistorius is beginning to fade here, and I'm a little surprised. I thought this car might be a little bit better tonight. And he just caught in the fence at the exit at turn 7 as well, so definitely struggling in this 9 car.
Of course, is one I usually expect to at least get a decent top 10 here and there. Bronson Stafford from 3rd actually just missed the front stretch of the game, so we have to give up some time to Mitch Welker in 4th. But I expect Pistorius to be a little bit stronger, but it just, like you said, it seems he's really struggling to keep the tires on it and keep the fenders on it.
Oh, lock up there. He's going to bail out of the bus stop. Just mistakes compounding on mistakes. And we'll drop another spot.
Still really no other takers up at the front, so Cameron Hearn's in a league of his own. The only problem right now, Cameron Hearn's starting to get to the people that haven't pit yet. He's in 14th position, passing people on older tires, like Nick Massey in the 20. He's going by into turn 1 right now. So last time by, Cameron Hearn ran a 23.6, and Riley Thompson, he ran a 25.4. So those tires are definitely gaining him some time, but can he gain enough time to get the lead? When he does get the lead, can he even defend?
Is it a short-term gain, long-term loss sort of situation is the real question. He might end up with the lead for a few laps, but I think he's banking on a different kind of strategy in this one, because you're not going to win the race doing this strategy. You want the tires as late in the race as possible to run him all the way out to the end. But I should note that the last lap that he ran was the best lap that he's run all race. So even in the traffic, he's still finding lots of pace out there. Probably not hurting that the track is a little bit more rubbered in than it was earlier. Bronson Stafford now defending from Mitch Welker. Big slide there at the exit of the chicane.
Like I said earlier, Stafford missed that back front stretch chicane, a few laps ago, maybe a couple laps ago, and he's been able to keep that position, but he's been fading a little bit every now and then, and Mitch Welker's all over him now. Still no takers in the top 5 at least for pit road.
Closing in on the halfway point of this race. I think we'll see a lot of drivers come on down right at the halfway point. I mean, logistically, if in a vacuum, you want to pit right at halfway. You want to have tires equally as good at the end of the race as you would in the middle, because you're trying to maximize the tire life. However, that's not strategically always the best option if you've got people that you can get track position and get in front of them maybe, or be able to feel like you're confident enough to chase him down like we're seeing Takuna do here. Lock up into turn one.
Overshot it.
Yeah.
No, and that's big damage. Same thing that Brent Jones did earlier, and he's destroyed it. He's back into the front of a track. Tyrion and Nick Massey barely avoid him.
Wow, dramas in turn one, and Chambliss also
went around as well.
Yeah, he spun out after this. But Takuna making the mistake in the heartburn turn, gets in there too hot, locks him up.
Actually, Chambliss didn't even get turned on his own. I think they were trying to check up for Finian because they saw what was going on there, and Brad Slaughter actually got into the back with Chambliss.
Yeah, then Takuna trying to get out of the way. Ended up sort of more in the way. Here's another look. Locks up that left front inside tire, doesn't get it slowed down, and boom, straight into the safer barrier.
And then it
spins.
And then it backs him, that barrier pushes him back into the middle of the track, and Tyrion and Nick Massey have to take evasive action, dodging both cars that are in the middle of the racetrack. Luckily, no yellow there, obviously. That could have been very bad.
Here's a look from onboard Shane Tyrion. Gonna try to figure out, Shane Tyrion was committed, couldn't find a way around, then has to get through the dramas. Thomas Bressi hits pit lane. He was inside the top 5, I believe. Now he's down in 7th as he negotiates his pit stop. So we'll see how this pans out. But some dramas in turn 1. Time to hit pit lane.
We'll see where he comes out compared to Cameron Hearn, because obviously Hearn was running way faster laps than everyone else, basically. And that incident that just happened in turn 1 is only going to give him more position. So we'll see where Bressi comes out.
Hearn's already passed Bressi, and Bressi hasn't even left the pit box yet, so that's going to be a pretty enormous gain. But it's a gain now. Is it going to be a gain in 15 laps? I don't think so. I think there's more to it than that. And even if Cameron Hearn ends up in front of Riley Thompson by 15 or 20 seconds, I don't think that's enough. I think if you want to win this race and beat Riley Thompson, you got to be 35, 40 seconds out in front, because those newer tires that the 56 are going to have is going to mean a lot more come the end of this race.
And if he wants a chance to win this race and get a big lead on the 56 Riley Thompson, he needs better times. He ran a 25.4 last time by, and that was only about 7/10 faster than Riley Thompson. I think you need a bigger gain than that.
Well, you're not going to, putting new tires on doesn't solve the issue if you're beating up your tires. So I don't care if you've got fresher tires. If you're driving the heck out of them, they're going to be worn out just as fast as your first set was. So it's about how you treat your equipment and how you treat your tires. That's what's going to find you speed, not just, putting a Band-Aid on the problem. Mitch Welker hits pit lane from 4th. Stafford will stay on the racetrack for now.
Jack Buchanan's going to also come into pit lane from the 6th position. After he missed that chicane, he was not able to get by the 98 there. He couldn't get a position back, so he was starting to struggle, has some right front damage, and he might just need some, I think he needs tires to stay in this, as Cameron Hearn already coming through the front stretch chicane, while Zach Buchanan hasn't even hit his pit stall yet, and Mitch Welker just getting the right sides on him.
Thomas Bressi by Shane Tyrion on the racetrack. Shane Tyrion has not pit yet, so that just goes to show you how much advantage or ground Tyrion has lost to Bressi over the course of this run. Welker is gone, so is the 40 is Zach Buchanan, and Bressi's going to swing around the outside and take that position away. So that leapfrogged him over the Project 2 cars right in front as he came out of the pits, and he made that decisive.
That could have been worse. I don't think Welker's gonna come close to his rear bumper here. He might even get a run on him, as these two are gonna be battling hard, both on new tires and 76, trying to get his tires up to temperature to make a run at Bressi here. Bressi's gonna have to drive hard to keep this position.
And these two have not always been the friendliest out there on the racetrack as well. I mean, I don't want to play that up like it's something that still is on their minds, but it's not on their minds. So
here comes Riley Thompson. The leader's gonna come in on the pit road here, as Alan Elwood's gonna follow him in, and the top 2 are in now.
I'll bet you Bronson Stafford makes the same decision here. No, he's going to stay out another lap.
Justin Munsel's also going to stay out, so he'll take over 2nd position for the time being. Cameron Hearn's already out of the backstretch chicane, so we'll see where he comes out compared to the leaders.
Bressi and Welker fighting hard for 7th. This will cycle out to be about for 5th or 4th, I believe. Elwood into his box. Riley Thompson just climbed up on the jacks, as Cameron Hearn onto the front straightaway will cycle out to be your race leader, I believe.
It's not by as much as I think he wanted, though. Thompson's going to come out already, and he might, I don't think this is going to be. Cameron Hearn's just barely going to get him. He's only going to have about a second on him.
Yeah, and that, again, short-term gain, long-term loss. If this race was 22 laps, 23 laps, he'd be good and golden, but not the way that that the race was scheduled. So he's gotten to last another 20 laps and hold off Riley Thompson, which is just frankly not going to happen.
Michael Stroll's going to get blown by new tires here. Thomas Bressi goes to his outside. Stroll's going to let both him and Mitch Welker by, as Stroll just said over to Redo. He just cannot turn the car. Oh,
wow, that was close. Bressi chucked it into turn 5. He's pushing right now to keep this 76 car behind him, and he almost put it in the fence.
Yeah, he's giving it everything he's got. Hits the brakes hard to get through that left-hander there. Just couldn't get the gas while Mitch Welker's all over him.
And Thompson back by Hearn already, so Hearn didn't even get to lead a lap over Riley Thompson. And these two are going to be a problem before they're not. Into the back straightaway chicane here, Welker on the binders.
I don't think he wants to move him because front-end damage matters a lot, but he's probably already getting impatient. He has the fresher tires. He knows he's faster than Bresci. It's just a matter of making the pass clean and not destroying yourself in the process.
Well, it's been pretty calm and pretty tame since the opening lap. We've had a couple spins and slides and crashes here and there, but nothing major. Justin Munsell will hit pit lane from 4th. That will promote Riley Thompson back to the race lead. 1.3 seconds, make it 1.5 now over Cameron Hearn. So Hearn jumps Alan Elwood into 2nd. But again, without another caution, I'm not sure that was going to be a great strategy long term. And I don't think it's likely we'll see another yellow.
Stafford's getting out of pit lane. Michael Stroll also pit that time by from the 6th position, so pretty much everyone cycling out, getting their pit stops in. Justin Morton, I believe, has stayed out the entire time. Obviously, he got spun on that restart by Bresci up to 12th, trying to get everything he can. He's probably going to stretch it as far as he can and hope for something to happen.
Welker's battle with Bresci fizzled just for the moment. And there's only a handful of drivers that have not made pit stops. Terry and Massey, as you mentioned. Tyler Hensley has already made his stop. Braxton DeWeese is back out on the racetrack. He's done pitting for the day, back in 18th spot. Notice Mitch Welker, the way that he was upshifting made it sound like he was clutching the upshifts, which proper shifting methodology, Connor, if I may say as a road racer. If you shift these cars the proper way and treat them properly, they will treat you right back. If you try to come in here and ring gears, the oval driver way, often you're going to wreck your transmission and just botch downshifts and make it a mess out of it. Properly clutching, heel towing, I still recommend it, especially if you're not comfortable yet. Just kind of blipping and rev matching the old-fashioned way. It'll teach you good habits about how to rev match and how to brake properly while you're rev matching. Because a lot of drivers don't know how to do it properly, and they don't ever learn it the right way, so they do it the wrong way forever.
Yeah, it's really tough to make it work. It's tough to learn it, but once you do learn it, that you can really, you can master it, basically. And if you do master it, you're going to be really tough to beat. Getting in and out of corners, that shifting method just makes it so much easier to have a lot more speed. You might not have a lot of speed at road courses if you know how to shift. If you know how to shift, you really just have a feel for the track that no one else has.
I don't think there's probably anyone in here that's actually heel towing, but I know there's probably very few drivers in here that just know how to do it, period. And it's not necessarily the fact that you're doing it, it's just knowing mechanically what's happening and understanding transmissions rather than seeing it as an annoyance, which I think is more common than it probably should be. And that's why you see certain drivers excel here on the road courses. So through the back straightaway chicane, Bresci and Mitch continue to fight for 4th spot. Tyler Hensley and Terrian, this is for 14th, and Terrian's fresh out of the pits.
Cameron Hearn just let Alan Elwood by for 2nd, didn't even battle him. He'll probably do the same if Thomas Bresci gets to him at any point, as Cottis is, I think, going to miss the front stretch chicane here by a little bit. As these two, 4th and 5th, still battling really hard, but Mitch Welker just can't get to him.
And it's only a lap difference in tire, so I don't think Welker really has much of an advantage over Bresci, at least in the tire department. He's probably got a bit more longevity than the 24 car does, so as long as he's not overdriving trying to get past this 24, he might be okay. Nick Massey on pit lane. A little bit of a curb hit there for Bresci. It's going to slow him up, and Welker's got to run here.
Can't look to the right side of them there. That wouldn't have been smart. Bresci just really trying to send it into these corners, trying to get speed. 76 going to look to the inside into this left-hander as Lakatos just lets him by in the grass. Going through some signs there. Knocks a cone into the track. As Bresci getting a good run off onto the oval, but gets sideways. He's using those rear tires a lot.
Yeah, struggling there just a little bit. Finney DeCuna still running in 12th. With that damage, that just goes to show you not a lot of aero required here, but that car's a little worse for wear, but still running.
And he did make his pit stop at some point, and like you said, he's got decent track position. He was up there way farther, but 13th, 14th, that ain't too bad. Oh, Robert Kenny just killed the front end of his car. It's upside down.
Where is?
Turn 1. He's on to he went, I don't even know what to say about that. He completely killed the car. Grits goes around. He's going to back into the field. No, he backs out of the way. He just wanted to make sure he got off the track.
Who was it that crashed in turn 1? I don't even have Robert. Oh, Robert Kenny in the 34.
That was unbelievable. I don't know what that was. That almost looks like the throttle hung, but I don't know why that would happen.
Let's go back and have a look here.
That was unbelievable.
I was having trouble finding him. No, I don't think that was Kenny. He's been set. Oh no, yeah, it was.
He missed the backstretch chicane there, and I don't know what to say.
Oh my goodness.
He had a cone on the front end. I don't know if that was out of frustration or what, or maybe the cone somehow made him not brake. I don't know what that was.
Up and over the top. That is a huge incident. Let's see if we're right on board. See if this was a controlled demolition. Looks like it.
He sped up. He sped up into it. That had to be on purpose or something. I don't know. I can't imagine missing the. I'm sorry. I just cannot imagine missing the chicane like that. He was going about 130.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely sped up. I wonder if there was a hardware issue potentially, or he just called it a day. But that's a spectacular way to call it a day. I'd say that.
Briscoe, sorry, he was stopped in the oval turn 3. Briscoe actually wrecked out of a backstretch chicane now pretty harshly. He has a lot of damage on that front end now.
Briscoe's day is not gone to plan. And is that Cameron Hearn? Oh, he's trying a 2-stop strategy now. That might have been something we probably could have picked on a little bit earlier. What do you think about that?
I don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe it could be a 2-stop, but it could also be him not looking at the fuel enough because he pit really early. I was kind of concerned about where the fuel would have been, but maybe it is a 2-stop. But I don't think he can make up time to where he is. I think he could have just kept going. I don't know. I feel like he might have been short on fuel there.
Shane Terrian up to 13th. Nick Massey behind him. And Terrian's got about a second up to DeCuna, currently lapping 0.8 of a second quicker, so he should be able to get to 12th, maybe even to the top 10 by the end of this thing. Hearn back out on the racetrack down to 9th. Now, if you think about this, though, he's going to come out 8th or 9th. 2-stop strategy, he's going to gain spots from here on out. It's 17 seconds to the next car, mind you. But he's going to have better tires for the rest of this race, which 15 laps is a long time, 20 minutes worth of racing. So remember where he was running earlier, 4th. I don't think he's going to get that high, but I do think he could get back to 5th or 6th. And honestly, that was a pretty good gamble to take if you didn't think you could win this race.
Yeah, if it works out, it works out. I was really surprised. I didn't think we'd see a 2-stop. I thought the fuel was definitely good enough to go, but like you said, he pit really early, so maybe he had to back out of that strategy and just kind of trying a makeshift 2-stop. I don't know if that was to the plan. I think he could have kept a decent track position and maybe finished better than where he might finish now. It's just a really, a really ballsy strategy to make work.
Thomas Bressi under fire from Welker again through turn number 1. I think Mitch is serious this time. He's right there.
Trying everything he can. This is a big spot, top 3. You want to get top 3. You know, obviously it's not a F1 race, but you always want to be on the step of the podium, whether it's NASCAR, whether it's anything really. So I think he's starting to get impatient. We're winding down the laps, getting close to 10 laps to go. He needs to go.
I think he's able to pressure the 24. A bit of a slide there, a lot of lateral slide actually out of the 24 machine. So I think Welker feels his presence on the back of that bumper, and it's almost magnetic. The sensation of the driver behind you just feels like it's making your car understeer, brake later, or brake sooner rather. It just feels like everything you're doing is just wrong when you've got someone chasing you, and it's so easy to make mistakes. Meanwhile, Buchanan and Munsell, this is for 6th. This 98 car recovered pretty nicely from a rocky start, and could end up in the top 5 at the pace he's running now.
He's done a good job keeping every other fender on, and obviously the rear fenders are kind of cooked, but he's done a good job keeping track position, never pit under the yellow to repair damage. It was obviously the right decision. He sits in 7th right now, and if he can recover with no rear end to get even anything like this, it's a very good race for him. As starting to see some battles start to form up. Mitch Welker, we talked about how he's pressuring Thomas Bressi. He better hurry because Bronson Stafford is faster than both of them.
I think that might be what's causing that pressure now. 13 laps to go at the front of the field here. And Welker on the brakes later through turn 1. This is where he's much, much better than the 24, is this first sector. I just don't think he's able to get by him here. It's so hard to make a pass. He's not really willing to jam it down the inside just yet. Not worth doing.
Oh, Bressi slid there, though, but the 76 just does not want to take a peek. Last time by, Stafford like a second faster than both of them, so 76, I think he's got to either put the bumper to him or make something happen, because he's going to lose a position if he doesn't.
So close. Vinny DeCuna lost some time last lap. He's dropped to 14th place, Terrian up to 12th. And Stafford is coming, and coming quickly.
We haven't really talked about Bronson Stafford. He's been fast all day. He's been in the top 5, solidly in the top 5, pretty much this entire race. He's done a really good job keeping the fenders on his car. I don't think he has any damage whatsoever. Really clean Toyota Supra that he's kept, as I believe the 2 cars in front of him have at least a little bit of damage. Maybe not Welker, but definitely Bresci. 61's done a good job. He had a good pit strategy, and he might make it work to get a top 3, but the 76 finally putting a bumper to Bresci.
I was going to say, for Bronson Stafford, a quiet day is a good day at the Roval. If we're not talking about you, you're probably not crashing. So that's probably a good place to start, as Welker did lay the bumper to Thomas Bresci, and I think he means business now. I think he's done sitting back here and behind this 24, and that is a message sent, and they're going to get together on the front straightaway. Oh.
Stafford's going to get by both of them, and these two already not the best of friends.
You know what that exactly looked like? That looked a whole lot like the Clash finish from about
Chase
an hour and a
Elliott,
half
Ryan
ago.
Blaney.
Yeah.
Yep, it did look similar. I think if Chase did that to Blaney at the Roval, I think Chase would have won that race, but those two just got hooked, and they went to the outside wall. That was perfect for Bronson Stafford. Didn't lose too much time getting by those two.
Yeah,
I think Mitch Welker is probably going to try to use a little bit more force this time.
Yeah, Welker got in there. He saw the opportunity, went for it. We're going to jump back live because I think it's going to get messy before it doesn't. Welker there.
Oh, here we go.
Whoa, big dive.
No, Bresci just missed the corner. He's going to go into the tire barrier. Maybe not. He kept it off the barrier, but he's going to lose a lot of time all the way back to Buchanan and Munsel's battle.
Well, that was dramatic there for a moment. So Buchanan now sees the 24 in sight. Both those cars managed to avoid major damage, I think. So they'll continue without a whole lot of dramas. But Welker muscles his way by to 4th. They lost some time in that. Welker gained exactly 0 spots with all that. Lost 1, gained 1.
Definitely the biggest loser is going to be Bresci, though, because he lost, I think, about 2 spots, and he might lose 2 more by the end of this race because Buchanan and Munsell have fresher tires than him, and they obviously have cleaner cars. Even the 98 with no rear end, I think, is a cleaner car than Bresci at this point. Bresci's going to have to drive really hard to keep them behind him.
Yeah, Justin Munsell is really impressing me. The first lap or 2 was really shaky. I was concerned about this driver. Never heard of him before. I believe this is his first start this season, and it might not be. He might have made another start here, but hadn't really been much of a factor. And with the incidents on the first lap, I was a bit concerned that it wasn't going to be a very good night for him. But now he's putting pressure on Buchanan here for 6th. Big drift out of turn 1.
That was a really big drift. He loses a lot of time to Buchanan there. This is his first start of the season. Unless I missed something, he has not made another start. So definitely a good showing at a road course. He's just a road course runner. Maybe we'll only see him again for Sonoma. But so far, so good. He's looked really strong.
Out up front, no changes here. Riley Thompson. However, Alan Elwood. Thompson did make a mistake last time by. 127.356. That was definitely a mistake, and Elwood closed up the gap.
See if I'm trying to find this mistake. It was actually going up those 2 right-handers in the road course section. Riley Thompson completely missed that same right-hander that Bresci did. He actually tapped the tire barrier. That's where he lost 3 seconds.
Here's a look.
So we'll see it right here. Just completely misses. That might have been that time by.
This was just the previous time. So yeah, you're right. It was a lap prior to that. But right back on pace in a 24.8. Right back on pace, but Elwood did close a little bit more that time. 2.8 seconds back he is.
Thompson's lucky he didn't overshoot it even more, or else he would have completely wrecked and he just would have handed the race to Elwood. Elwood trying to kind of steal 2 races in a row, potentially. He had Cameron Hearn last week, and he might be able to do another one this time, but he's still got to drive really hard. He's pedaling the same lap as Riley Thompson, so even tires. See, Riley Thompson might be going into conserve mode a little bit because he just does not want to make that mistake again, because that was a big mistake.
Don't have a lot of... Wow, look at Munsell. Huge dive into turn 3. He is all over the back of Zach Buchanan. He means business now. Buchanan flat slide through turn 4. This 98 car is back and ready to party.
And they're both trying to have a crack at the 24. Bresci, who they see as struggling, but neither driver can make a run at him. Both kind of struggling to make something happen here, as we're starting to see these leaders get into a little bit of lap traffic. Riley Thompson having to get by Joseph Tevin. That was going to have to do the same and try not to get held up, so lap traffic might come into play here.
Good battle back here for the 5th spot. Also for 15th, that's Davey Hendricks. Braxton DeWeese has had a couple issues tonight. Again, that spin on lap number 1, and then, of course, the mistake in the bus stop that basically erased all of the ground that he had made up. He's also almost back to where he started, but I think had he not had those issues happen, he might be a top 10 driver today, but just I haven't seen the pace to think that he would have a much better day than he's already having. Davey Hendricks right in front of him is going to spin.
He's going to go into the barrier a little bit. Pretty big contact. He had that contact with the 98 earlier. He's going to get back going around. The leaders aren't there quite yet, but they will be there soon. As Riley Thompson got out of that lap traffic, and the 5 of Elwood has to still get by Sarah Tessum. Might lose a lot of time here having to get by, but the 70 goes wide, goes into the barrier himself, trying to get by as Elwood's going to have clear track, and both these drivers are through again.
Buchanan feeling more pressure from Justin Munsell. And right in front of him is Thomas Bresci. So this is about to be probably the wildest battle we've seen in about 15 to 20 laps.
and they better sort it out, because not too far back, Cameron Hearn is gaining about over a second a lap on all 3 of these guys, so he might even be able to recover almost back into his 4th position if things go sour here.
That's what I was saying. I didn't hate that strategy. He could get all the way up to 5th here if he could catch these guys, but still got it 8 laps to go. That's a lot of time. So for the race leader, Riley Thompson, 2-second gap over Elwood. He's losing some ground. There's Bronson Stafford back in 3rd, then Mitch Welker in 4th, then Bresci, Buchanan, and Munsell, the rest of the group there that's fighting for this 5th position.
See what type of run Buchanan might have into the front stretch chicane, excuse me. I don't think he's close enough to make a move, but you just never know. You kind of get impatient when you see someone catching you very fast. You know you're guaranteed to lose a spot if you don't go now. So if he can get to that back bumper of Bresci, I wouldn't be surprised if we see something happen. Same with the 98 to the rear bumper of Buchanan. We might see that happen as well.
Getting really aggressive over the curbs. They're starting to realize 8 laps to go. If you've got suspension parts still left, you might as well rattle them out now. Down in the final few moments. Riley Thompson losing ground still. Elwood is closing, and I'm interested in this because they're both on the same tire strategy, so Thompson is actually losing pace organically, which is not something I expected. He's been the dominant car of this race. We've run 33 laps. He's led 32 of them.
He could just be conserving because he made that mistake. The tires obviously got warmed up and he had to recover a little bit, and I think he realized, okay, I'm driving way too hard. I have a lead still. I can't blow it by driving too hard, and he might just be conserving a little bit, making sure he at least keeps the car on the track. And when or if the 5 gets to him, he can recover and start going maybe full force again. Well, because I think he's starting to, excuse me, Ben, sorry about that. I think he's just starting to maybe edge it out a little bit here. I think he's starting to get a little bit of his lead back. Yeah, the carrot is dangling, though, for Elwood, and I think the opportunity is there for Elwood to continue to run him down. So we'll keep an eye on the front runners here. Shane Tarian and Finian DeCuna. DeCuna about to pass the points leader with a pretty torn-up car. Why does this matter? Because this is essentially your top 2 drivers in the points. Tarian came in as the leader, DeCuna in 2nd in the points. So if Finian can pass this 83, that would mean he'd gain ground on that 21-point lead that the 83 came in with tonight. I honestly thought Finian was going to completely just exit out of the race. I can't believe he's recovered. I thought he was completely done because we saw the same thing happen to Brent Jones, and he had to retire, but Finian's been able to recover. Still has a little bit of his front end left on that car. He's been able to keep decent pace with the drivers around him who have perfect cars. Tarian has no damage on that car whatsoever, but the 94 is staying with him. Well, he's a stubborn bugger, that 94 driver is, and is not willing to give this up. Here's Hayden Pistorius and Zach Passon side by side into the chicane on the backstretch. These two have had it coming together. Boy. They're going to get together again. The 9 car going to spin. They've been racing each other hard pretty much the whole race, and I think that was finally the climax of that battle. Yeah, I think the 69 just got in here a little bit too hot. Let's see. 9 car didn't leave him a ton of room there, but either way, I think that was just 2 cars going for a similar part of the racetrack. They're both actually arguing with each other. Passon's mad that the 9 was blocking him at some point, and the 9 didn't give too much room, and at the same time, the 69 did lock it up and kind of missed that curve. You see Bresci go over that red and white curve. You see the 69 missed that curve, so a bit 50-50 potentially. They were racing hard all race, so I'm not surprised at all that they came to blows. Well, last time by, Justin Munsell had a mistake, and he dropped position to, hey, look, Cameron Hearn. He's got 2 drivers about a second up the road now, and Buchanan and Bresci have not sorted out their battle yet. This 15 car is about to sort it out for him, and he can get back up into 5th. He's not going to catch Mitch Welker 9 seconds up the road, but considering that Hearn was on the one-stop strategy, would it be at best maybe 4th? Perhaps 3rd? I'd say a 5th on a 2-stopper was a pretty good call, and at least he's on the attack here instead of on the defense. Yeah, that's always the the decision you want to make at the end of a race. You can see, okay, I'm losing positions, and I have to defend pretty much everyone here. Do I want to defend the rest of the field? You don't want to take tires in. He's doing a good job doing it so far, and he's only pretty much got 2 more spots to get. Like you said, likely not going to get Mitch Welker, but he's got 2 spots to sort out here as Buchanan's getting to the rear bumper of Bresci. He's getting impatient, but I don't think he has time.
Next time by will be 5 laps to go, 36 laps into our 41-lap event here at the Charlotte Roval. Hearn missed a gear on the upshifts there.
Oh, yeah. See how much time he lost there, so he'll have to recover. Maybe into a front stretch chicane he can do something here. Look how much time he gains on braking, similar to what, in the real-life clash, what Ryan Blaney was doing to Chase Elliott. Those tires just make him so much better under braking. So we see that coming to his advantage. He might have a run with a chicane, but I think he's going to have to wait a little bit. I don't think he can make this move here.
Look at Dacuna all over the back of Shane Terry, and Braxton DeWeese back in the top 15. Has a look at both of these cars. He's been quicker than both drivers in front of him the last 2 or 3 laps.
A lot of good battles coming to the end of this one. Usually things get really spread out, and they have gotten pretty spread out, but you still have battles everywhere around the track. Got a battle for the top 5. The battle for the lead isn't over just yet at all. Also, the battle for third isn't over just yet. Mitch Welker's actually been catching Bronson Stafford a little bit, so that's not quite over just yet. And you got battles all over. Obviously, Finian and Terrian and Braxton DeWeese back there got battles everywhere.
This has been a really solid Roval race. We had actually been sort of chatting before that you and I have not really seen a very competitive Roval race before in iRacing, just because the skill gap tends to be so large in a place like this that, you know, one guy drives away and crushes everybody. That has not been the case today. Buchanan, big slide through turn 6.
Wow.
Hearn is all over him now.
I don't think he can do much to defend Hearn. I think out of the over, you're going to see those tires become a big advantage out of his corner. We'll see what kind of run the 15 gets. Not as big as I thought, but he still might have a shot. I think he's got the run. But does he want to test it with a dive bomb? It could end your race. I think he's just going to back off.
He lifted again. I thought he was going to go for it there, but chose not to. Braxton DeWeese got by Dacuna in turn number 1. That puts him up to 14th. Now sets the sights on Shane Terry. Big slide there by the 94.
I think that's just really because of how hard he's having to drive that car. That car's completely destroyed, and he's just having to drive the wheels off of it, literally, to keep any track position.
Keeping an eye on third place, Bronson Stafford, Mitch Welker, 1.1. Now they're down to 0.8 seconds apart with 4 laps to go. And Buchanan look up the inside of Bresci, but can't commit to it just yet. Now back up to third. Here's Stafford in lap traffic. Casey Shue up the road, and Mitch Welker closing.
Bronson Stafford's last lap time actually doesn't show up, so I have to assume maybe he went off course or something. Maybe he got a slowdown or something, but he's been able to stay in front of Mitch Welker. But even after that contact, Stafford caught him so quickly, I didn't think there'd be any chance Mitch Welker could get back to him. But the 76 looks really strong over the long run, and he might have a shot at a top 3.
This is the strength that I think Welker has. Woo, almost got the fence at the exit of turn 8. He's got plenty of time. I don't think he needs to rush this. I don't think it's worth it to put it in the fence to try to get this position.
That being said, he does have 11 seconds back to Bresci, so maybe you can risk it, but obviously just you can't afford to wreck it. But
right.
You can afford to maybe make some things in that car here and there.
I just don't think there's any reason to rush it. I think we got 3 laps. That's a whole lot of passing opportunities. That's 50-some-odd corners to get it done.
On top of all that, those 4 back there are battling. Bresci, Buchanan, Hearn, and Justin Munsell staying with him. I thought he'd drop back, but he's staying with him in a decent pace. 5th through 8th, it's just a great battle. I think Cameron Hearn might take a look here.
Yeah, Buchanan is going to stay put on the inside. Hearn's going to go around the outside. Can he get it lowered down? They're going to touch on the entry, and Hearn bails out. That was a good call there.
Almost saw the clash finish over again. Is Hearn's going to lose time? Drop back to the 98 a little bit. He got to these guys, but just can't find a way to make the pass work. Buchanan still trying to work over Bresci at the same time.
Back to third, Stafford and Welker going at it here for that third position in the last couple laps. Welker being pretty calm, cool, and collected about this. We haven't seen him try to sail down the inside yet or do anything silly. I don't think we will, but desperation's going to start to mount once we see maybe 2 laps to go.
A lot of patience being shown, even though there are only 3 laps to go, and he has a decent run. But I think that damage that he has is really hurting him because obviously Bronson Stafford has a clean car and staying with him, but Welker still does have a run on him. Stafford's actually going to block the inside line. Mitch Welker's going to go to the outside.
Yeah, braking zone for the back straightaway chicane. They're going to run in there side by side. Stafford leaves some space. Welker can't commit. Back to Buchanan, Bresci, and Hearn. All in a line, nice and tidy, like ducks in a row. And Hearn wants to grab both these spots. This strategy will have not paid off if he can't pass these last two cars.
It might have been better if he, now I'm thinking about it, I think it would have been better if he stayed, oh, he's going to go to the inside. He's going to go below the blue line. I believe that is legal here.
Yes, it is.
Buchanan kind of pinched him there.
Yeah, you couldn't, you're not allowed to blend back up and take somebody out with you.
Oh, he's going to move him.
Oh, that was dicey. Great battle here into the chicane. Buchanan's going to overdrive it just a little bit to try to make it through. He does. And now bring in Justin Munsell back into the fight.
He's going to block him. I think Hearn's going to send him again. There it is. Buchanan's going to slide. He's going to kill the turn one tire barrier on his side.
Upside down.
Cameron Hearn completely was done with it, and he's going to lose that spot anyway. Justin Munsell's going to get around him.
Wow.
That was very... I know he's frustrated with the block. That's kind of uncalled for.
Yeah, that was a little bit messy by
that was too much.
Not too much, I agree. I don't think the punishment fit the crime. But, well, Buchanan's going to be stuck there. Back for third, Welker and Stafford. Welker's trying to get this run at the exit of the road course here and climbing up onto the oval. Buchanan's just going to sell. Now he's finally reset. That's a frustrating way to end the day with 2 laps to go. Here comes the 76 now with a run.
Yeah, Mitch Welker, he's not going to go to the outside again. He realized that didn't work. Maybe he does go for the move, but meanwhile up at the front, we're finally going to see a white flag. Riley Thompson was able to get back to a 4-second lead on Elwood. He's been cruising ever since.
White flag one more time around. 2.28 miles left for the 56. And also 2.28 miles left for the 61 of Bronson Stafford if he wants to hang on to this third place position. Welker's really deep.
Uh-oh, that's not going to be good. He gets it back on the binder. Got on the binders just barely there. That could have been bad, but now he has to gain that time back.
That was a spectacular showmanship there on the brakes. I didn't think he was going to make that, but he did. Give him credit for it.
Well, that battle for fifth kind of fizzled out. Bresci, after that contact in the turn one with Buchanan and Hearn, Bresci got away. Cameron Hearn got back by Munsell for that sixth position. I don't think he's going to have time as we got 2 wide going on here. DeWeese to Tarian.
Tarian and Braxton DeWeese trading spots. That almost ended it pretty ugly. Out front, though, Riley Thompson climbs up onto the banking for the final time. A 3.8 second gap over second. Brad Slaughter Jr., Michael Stroll here for ninth.
Well, these guys, this is how big of a lead some of the leaders had on everyone else. This is coming to the white flag, obviously. Stroll trying to get another position. I think that's Nick Massey trying to recover. It's really tough. Everyone's trying to get everything they can. Only 1 lap to go. It's coming to the end right here.
Well, we said that the Roval typically involves a driver going out there and dominating the race, and that is exactly what Riley Thompson had done. It wasn't a complete landslide, but he did lead 40 of 41 laps. Riley Thompson in the number 56 comes out of turn number 17, and for the first time this season, he will pick up a win in the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series at the Charlotte Roval. Alan Elwood, strong effort into second, and Bronson Stafford and Mitch Welker racing down to the very end. Half a second gap now, but it's not going to be enough for Welker. Stafford brings home third, Welker in fourth as they make it to the checkers. And fifth place, Thomas Bresci held off, and you got to give him credit for the defense there. I did not think that he was going to last, but he did. Fifth place for the 24.
Good recovery for him as well. I didn't think he'd hold on at all. I thought he'd be the one getting dumped, but that wasn't the case. He holds on to fifth. Hearn recovers for sixth. Justin Munsell, even with all that rear end damage, finishes seventh. And eighth place is just getting out of a backstretch chicane. How about Justin Morton? We saw him get spun early on. He's all the way recovered up to eighth.
Michael Stroll here in the 10th spot has Nick Massey right behind him as they come through the last couple corners here in the NASCAR turns 3 and 4. DeWeese and Tarian. This is for 12th. Pass into the chicane. DeWeese has it. Tarian slips. I think DeWeese is going to grab 12th place, which after the night he has had is pretty phenomenal. Now can he make it through the chicane without giving it back up?
Slaughter Jr. 9th, Stroll 10th, Nick Massey 11th. They all come across the line. Like you're talking about, DeWeese able to recover all the way back pretty much to where he started. Actually, he's going to get exactly back to where he started. As DeWeese is going to recover. A decent points night for Shane Tarian still extends his lead a little bit over Finian, who recovers with no front in the 14th. Tyler Hensley 15th and 16th place, I believe, was a lap down, so that's everyone.
Shane Tarian makes it through to 13th. Not exactly the night I'm sure he was looking for, but I'm sure he'll take it and move on to New Hampshire next week. Riley Thompson, the winner here at the Charlotte Roval. Congratulations. His first win of the season. I always think he's won more than he has. It's still a rare occurrence for Riley to grab one, but when he wins, he does it in dominating fashion.
Didn't come without drama, though. He did have that mess up in turns 5 and 6. That's where he lost all his time. He was able to recover, get it back in shape. Didn't get any damage out of it. He was able to recover and get that lead right back to where it was.
And leading 40 of 41 laps. Domination That, I got to say, that was the most entertaining race at any Roval I've ever seen here in iRacing. That was spectacular. Battles all around, a little bit of action in terms of drivers running off track, running into each other. Just the right amount, I think, for the Charlotte Roval. And Riley Thompson going to celebrate. The least drama of pretty much anybody out there is what won in this race. Blows the motor. Here is a look at your race results here, Connor. Let's kick it off with Riley Thompson at the top of the order, 4 seconds out ahead of Alan Elwood.
Those two are miles ahead of everyone else. Bronson Stafford had a good run. He was able to hold off Mitch Welker. They're third and fourth. Bresci holding on for that top 5. Cameron Hearn, aggressive move to get 5th. Didn't even get it at first. Didn't get it at all. Munsell almost got by him. He gets 6th. Munsell 7th. Morton, he got spun by Bresci. Good recovery for 8th. And Stroll and Slaughter rounding out that top 10.
Moving on now to 11th through 20th. It was Nick Massey that came home in 11th. Braxton DeWeese. Great night, I got to say, considering how much uphill climbing he had to do. I'm sure he'll take a 12th. Shane Terrian, points leader coming into the night. I think he'll walk away with it. The driver that was chasing him, Finney DeCuna, 14th. Tyler Hensley, 15th. Kish, Chambliss, Pistorius, Tebben, and Shu. Connor, some drivers down here had some trouble.
Zach Passon, he had a lot of trouble with Pistorius. Sarah Tesson didn't have the speed. And obviously, Zach Buchanan got to point out 23rd place, easily a top 5 car. Definitely got a bit of a short end of a stick there. Licata struggled all night. Boomer, Logan, Davey Hendricks had a lot of damage the entire time. Gritzko, Robert Kenny, Danny Ware, Brent Jones all retired at some point pretty early on in that race. And obviously, Will Roberts A. Much Jr. didn't start. Will Roberts actually start in park, but a lot of guys who did a really good job keeping their fenders on, and a lot of guys who just didn't have the night they wanted.
Well, a driver that finished in 3rd was Bronson Stafford, the number 61. Fought off a hard-charging Mitch Welker in the closing moments. Kind of a wild one out there tonight, Bronson. There was a lot of great battles, but you were able to hold off Mitch Welker from instigating one of those closing moments. Take us through your race tonight and then holding off the 76 at the end.
Yeah, most of it was just good qualifying. You know, start up there in 3rd and pretty much just kind of maintain. I think maybe after pit stops we were 5th or 6th, but you know, we ran a couple laps longer and just able to make do and kind of burnt the tires up running down Bresci and Mitch Welker there when they were racing and battling together, and you know, they got together in that final chicane, and we kind of gifted through and just kind of had to try and maintain the gap. It was about 3 seconds, but just like the first run, Welker was quicker and he started running us down back at the end, but we were able to hold on for top 3.
Well, he came into the night 9th in points. This will probably launch you a couple positions, perhaps, especially with a couple drivers in ahead of you missing the race and some not having a great one. We head to New Hampshire next week. How do you feel about that racetrack on the schedule, and do you think you can win there?
I really like New Hampshire. Winning, I'm not sure. The B car, the competition in fuel is so stiff. I mean, every week you got to worry about Thompson and Terrian and Bresci and you know. Stroll, Hearn, like all these guys, they're so fast. It's so hard to go and win a race. And New Hampshire is typically a pretty decent track. I know Shane will be looking for, you know, my teammate, he'll be looking for a rebound next week at his home track in New Hampshire, so it'll be tough to beat him nonetheless the rest of the field.
Well, Bronson, 3rd place tonight. Congratulations. Not a scratch on that thing at the end, too. That's a job well done. We'll see you at New Hampshire in a week. Good luck to you out there.
Thanks, Kyle.
Moving on now to our 2nd place finisher, Alan Elwood, fresh off of a victory at Rockingham a few weeks ago. A 2nd place tonight. Just missed out on the victory by 4 seconds. At one point, you were reeling in, Riley, down to about a second, 2 seconds back. Just not quite enough pace to get there, Alan. What'd you need to go get that 56?
I don't know. I just needed more pace. I knew that the only way that I was able to get around Riley was either he made a mistake, which I guarantee wasn't going to happen, or lap traffic. There was a couple sketchy moments there that I thought that might be the key to make it pass, but ultimately just I knew that it was a long shot for me to be able to win the race, although coming in the 2nd is almost like a win for me. I kind of figured I would maybe be a top 5 car and to come home 2nd and, you know, not that far off of Riley is a victory for me.
We head to New Hampshire next week, back to the Ovals, another 1 mile racetrack, and Rockingham's about a mile, New Hampshire's about a mile. They're totally different, but do you think you can be the mile master this year and go get yourself another W?
I'd like to think so. I think I'm pretty good there. It's been quite a while since I've ran a race there, though, so, you know, take some practice laps to get the rust off of that track, figure out the line again. But yeah, I think we can get the job done.
All right, Alan Elwood thinks he can get it done. Almost got it done tonight. 2nd place is still a rock-solid finish for the points. We'll see you at New Hampshire in a week. We'll talk now with Riley Thompson. got it done. 40 laps led of the 41 tonight. Domination, but Riley, at one point it looked like you were losing some ground to second place Alan Elwood, and a mistake in turns 5 and 6. Take us through your race tonight. How close were you to maybe throwing this one away and ended up not winning?
I think that first stint I drove about as well as I could have. Alan was doing a really good job keeping up. But once I got to that second run, I think I started to burn off my fronts a little bit more than he was. And so, especially in the medium speed corners, which was the whole infield, he would catch up a tenth or two. And I think that one mistake started paying a little bit too much attention to where lap cars were and all that, and just lost it. But overall, luckily it didn't do too much to the car.
Well, a victory, your first of the season. You're going to climb the points, I'm sure, just a little bit. We head to New Hampshire next week, and then we head after that. I believe we've got Indianapolis coming up in a few rounds. Then we head back here to Charlotte, then to Sonoma, another road course. Is Sonoma a circle on your schedule, or is it one of the other tracks coming up that has your attention?
Yeah, New Hampshire, I think it's always been 50-50 to me. Indianapolis, not really a fan of it, but I think hopefully Sonoma, it feels a bit like this track, so I think that should go hopefully as well, but without bending it with a decent lead.
Hey Riley, congratulations, a really dominating night. Good luck to you at New Hampshire in a week. We'll see if you can pick up another one here this season. Congrats on your first win, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
And with that, it's going to wrap up the interviews here tonight. Solid race, Connor. I'm really happy with how that went. A little bit of drama in the post-race, I think, especially with that incident down in turn number 1. But all in all, a really entertaining race, but I shouldn't be surprised with Fuel. They always put on a good show. New Hampshire in a week. Your thoughts on the next one?
It's going to be a really tough race. We saw, obviously, a lot of stuff happened last time Fuel went to New Hampshire, but aside from that, it was a great race. And New Hampshire, it's kind of multi-groove. You can kind of get the bottom to work. You can kind of get the banking to work. I think you're going to see the bumpers being used. Depending on the setup, you might see shifting. Tire strategy is very important at a track like New Hampshire, very flat. So I think it's going to be very entertaining when we get 30-plus cars back there next week.
Well, tonight was the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series from Charlotte. Tomorrow it'll be the Winding Road Spec MX-5 Sim Racing Challenge. You can join us over the Winding Road Magazine channel tomorrow night at 8:30 Eastern. Then on Thursday, Scars, Lamborghini Super Trofeo, and Prototype Challenge, sponsored by Lazy Rocket, takes on Long Beach for the first time on Sim TV. That will be on Thursday at 8 Eastern. Then Friday off. Saturday, the return of the Outsider Racing League from Daytona. That'll be 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time right here on Sim TV. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time here tomorrow night. Winding Road Magazine Spec MX-5 Sim Racing Challenge from Sonoma.